talented evaluators who are going to display their speech evaluation skills. Welcome to Division H Evaluation Contest 2018. The purposes of an evaluation contest are 1. To encourage development of evaluation skills. 2. To recognize as the best as encouragement to all. The first and second place winners of this contest will represent Division H at the Qatar Inter-Division Gavels contests to be held in April 2018. For the smooth conduct of this contest, I will be assisted by an enthusiastic team of Toastmasters and Gavelers as role players. As I call out their names, I request all role players to please rise and remain standing until the last name has been called. Audience, please.
To be the toughest day of my school. However, I start each day by taking a moment to bow and pray. I start with thanks and then give praise to all your kind and loving grace. Today, if sunshine turns to rain, if a dark cloud brings some pain, won't doubt or hide in fear, for you, my Lord, are always near. However, such a positive attitude doesn't help me get through Tuesdays easily at all. Our first period of the day is mathematics, which is taught by our great teacher, Mrs. Arokia Mary Ma'am. She is really strict and controlling vibe that enforces her students to do her job. For this, I have a good example that whenever I would give my notebook for correction on Mondays and expect it back to be returned on Tuesday mornings positively, her rude response would be, so you think I should get your notebook from my place, or you should get your notebook from my place? This is one of the rude statements that I hear every Tuesday morning. Our second period of the day is English, which is taught by our great teacher, Mrs. Smita Sarla Devi. She has really big and piercing eyes that whenever she stares at you, you feel like she's piercing through your inner soul to attain all your lies and truths. For this, I have a good example that whenever she would enter the class, she would scan every corner of the class to find out if a kid is being distracted or not behaving properly. And there comes the twist. If she finds a kid being distracted or not behaving properly, these are the punishments which the kid would get. Number 1, she might kick you out of the class. Number 2, she might call up the parents right away. Number 3, she might write a note on your diary. By God's grace, I haven't got these punishments till now, and I hope I don't even get this in the future. Our third period of the day is PT, physical training. And for you guys, PT might sound a fun period, but in reality, it's not at all for me. Because our PT teacher is so grumpy and tends to be harsh on the non-athletic students. Now let me tell you one thing. No matter what your body size or weight is, you have to be active in his class to be in his good side, otherwise you might be the victim of his anger. Our fourth and fifth period of the day is geography, which is taught by our great teacher, Mrs. Aditi Shrivastava ma'am. Now let me tell you guys one thing. This might sound a bit funny. This class, yes, you have heard it right. This class never fails me to make incredibly sleepy because the only thing that the teacher does is reading the chapter and explaining nothing. Literally nothing. Our sixth and seventh period of the day is biology. Now, my dad had advised me that if you want to become a doctor in your life, you have to be active and punctual in a class. So, whenever I enter the class, I feel like I'm the doctor and rest of the people in the class are my patients and I have to deal with their life problems. Our 8th period of the day is computer, which is taught by a great teacher, Mrs. Arifa ma'am. And that is how my Tuesday ends with a good and a happy note. She is really intelligent and engages our interest and energy in every topic she teaches. Now, I don't even have to go outside to learn computer because the way she teaches is like you just have to revise the day before the exams and you will score full marks. Now, I would like to come to my concluding part. By just talking about my experiences every Tuesday, I can sense my stress and tiredness. Sadly, it comes every week. However, I get through it successfully by remembering that I have to work hard in order to achieve success in my life. And that includes a lot of hardship and stressful days. It helps me to remind myself that hard work never killed anyone. Over to you.
It was Tuesday, the worst day of school. His speech was a great one. Yeah, congrats. I would like to congratulate you. The rhyming words which you said, the prayer which you said in the first, you started after greeting everyone, you started with a prayer, and that prayer had many rhyming words which I liked very much. Then your voice modulation and the gestures which you gave was really good. For example, you said piercing through the eyes. The shallow voice which you used, as well as the hand gesture which you used, I liked it really very much. The speech was organized really well, and the 8 periods which you said, I really remember my school. Yeah, we had 9 periods over there, so I remember all the 9 periods. Now, I would like to ask one thing to you. Would you like to take your speech to the next level? Of course. So, for that, let me give you some recommendations. You should use your stage a little more better. For example, as you're telling it in different period ways. So when you're telling the first period, you can move to this part, and then when you're saying the second period, you can move to this side, and you can use the stage in a better way rather than standing in one place. Then I thought that giving a little more expressions would do good in your speech. Like you were describing each teachers in each periods. So while doing that, if you gave an expression of each teachers and changed your voice in each and every periods, then I thought that we could relate with that periods and that teachers much better. Finally, I can say that you had a good moral in your speech. Hard work never killed anyone. Yes, you taught us all that we should hard work. Even though we are going through a lot of hectic in life, we have to do a lots and lots of hard work. To sum up, I can say that the rhyming words in your prayer, good voice modulation, gestures, and the moral you gave was really nice. And if you work on your stage usage and on your expression, you can be the best speaker, and all the best for your next.
Of the speaker's speech. And Vivek did a wonderful job in delivering his speech. He had a well-organized body. The opening was fantastic, and the closure will come to that. He walked at the stage very confident, as if, well, this is my home crowd. That's how he walked up to the stage. He started his speech with a humorous remark, and I felt that grabbed the attention of everyone in the audience. There were a few places in which he used sarcasm, and sarcasm, well, when it applies to teachers, it works very well. His voice modulation, hand gestures, although he was restricted to this part of the stage, were excellent. They were apt and they were very well concise. Now, a few areas of improvement that I noticed in his speech were that he did not use a lot of rhetorical devices. In a speech such as this, where you are actually speaking to an audience, a familiar audience, an audience filled with students, I think you should have added a few rhetorical devices. How about you? What do you say about this? How about you? What do you say about this? It would have just grabbed the attention of each and every one, even if they weren't paying attention. I felt he lacked a bit of eye contact with the rear part of the crowd, because although he was focusing mainly on the judges, he did lack a bit of eye contact in the rear of the crowd. And although his speech was a little monotonous, he did emphasize on very specific points like grumpy and piercing eyes, or he used great leader, and that was sarcasm. He could have added a few suspense pauses, as in, well, he could have kept the audience guessing. Overall, I felt his speech had a very apt title. His speech, he delivered his speech in such a way that the audience felt connected to him. His voice modulation, his hand gestures, everything was on point. And I'll be hoping to hear future speeches from him again. And best of luck for his future.
So, where you said life is hard, but going to school on Tuesday is the hardest. You also had personal stories, and personal stories helps the audience relate to your message more. So, when you talked about yourself, people could feel that they could also relate to you and how difficult your school day was. If I had to give any recommendations, I'd say that when you were delivering your speech, you had very little stage movement. You know how your speech was chronological? You talked about the beginning of your day, from block 1 to block 2, block 3, so on to block 8. Well, when you're talking about block 1, you could stand on one side of the stage. Block 2, move a little. That way it kind of gives the feel that you're moving along. Another thing that I noticed is that you didn't have that many facial expressions. It was always the same one. So when you were talking about your PE teacher and how if you didn't exercise, you'd be the victim of his anger, you could have looked scared and worried. Or when you were talking about how boring one of your other teachers were, you could have looked bored out of your mind and explained it. Or you could talk about the dead air in the room and use your 5 senses to really enhance your message. You're excellent. You had an excellent message to work hard at the end of the day, and you were very energetic, if not with the right facial expressions. You did so well, and I look forward to hearing your future speeches. In conclusion, you used humor, personal stories, and relatable stories. And if you just work on the stage movement and your facial expressions, you'll be an even better speaker than you already are. So I look forward to hearing your future speeches. Contest sharing.
Firstly, your humor. You are very successful in invoking humor in many of the pages of your speech, which is the best thing that you can do. Keep the audience in a light mood. For example, when you were telling us about your daily routine, your Tuesday timetable, where you told about your teachers kicking you out of your class, and about every teacher how she or she behaved. And then thus you were successful in invoking humor. You were successful in making the whole audience roll with laughter. Secondly, your usage of words. The words which you used to describe everything were very accurate and descriptive. For example, you said the piercing eyes of your English teacher, Smita ma'am. And all the words will make us imagine your teacher right in front of you. And that is what you have to do. Make the audience feel how you are feeling. Make the audience imagine a whole picture in front of you. Imagine the teacher in front of you. Imagine the fury in front of you. And you're very successful in that. You are a director of ideas, a craftsman of words, and a roller coaster of emotions. And thirdly, I liked your boldness. How you are very bold to stand up to the audience, which was very convincing. But you could also improve your speech. So let's see how you can make your speech from good to great. Firstly, your body language. You could have used the stage more often. The stage is your playground, play around. And your expressions. I would advise you to smile more often as it keeps the audience happy, and also be happy when you're telling that you're happy. Be angry when you're telling that you're angry, so that it feels more realistic. Secondly, your voice. Your voice was kind of monotonous when you were portraying Mary Ma'am, and the pitch remained same. So I would request you to make your voice a little more different. To summarize, you had very good humor. Your words were amazing, and also you were very bold. But you could improve on your body language and your voice. So congrats, Vivek, for presenting a successful speech today, and best of luck for your future speeches.
Raise of hands. My God. But your speech, trust me, was truly involving and very entertaining for me. Why do I say that? Let's look at all the things that I loved about your speech, right? Your speech was completely anecdotal. It was your personal stories about how you deal with things on Tuesday and about how you didn't like things, and the way that you had worded some of those prayers and about each of the things that you dealt with each day, the way that you phrased and described and used vivid words, I really love that about your speech. Alright? And the other thing that I feel is your strength is your voice, because it is pretty captivating. But on the other hand, I think that you could maybe make use better of it, but I'll come to that a bit later, right? What I also loved about your speech is about how when you came onto the stage, you waited for the contest chair, and then you started it off, and it was on a very positive note. Now coming back to some of the points where I thought you could probably improve, would be that even though your speech had the proper beginning, body, and a conclusion, it did go in a very chronological order, right? But imagine if you could have painted a better picture by moving along the stage too, right? So you spoke about the first period, the second period, and the third period, right? So maybe when you were talking about the first period, you could have stood here, then again the second here. So it would have been a bit more engaging for us all. And another thing that I thought was that you did have hand gestures. You are very comfortable using them. So why not use more of it, right? When you're counting, be a bit more open on the stage, right? So 1, 2, and 3. And just imagine that you could use a bit more of that pausing over there. It would be even more appealing to people, right? So when I'm counting, say, you had something about your teacher talking, or some of the listings that you had to say. You could have been like, 1, pause, say it. 2, pause and then say it. It really adds a lot of meaning to your speech. And the other thing that I felt was that you could have tied your beautiful title back towards the end. When you were trying to inspire us, you could have said that we can all work hard and make sure that not every day is like Tuesday for all of us. But other than that, just to sum up, you did a fantastic job in presenting a speech. Just a bit more work on body language, a bit more work on vocal variety, and I'm sure that you can be an ace speaker. Contest chair.
We belong after they're delivered. Contest chair, fellow gatherers, panel of judges, and my target speaker, Vivek. Where are you? Today, we had such a speech which talked our mind as Jaleel Vivek was presenting his speech on the topic, Tuesday, the worst day of my school. He took us on a journey which had beautiful landscapes which he created with his beautiful words. Now, let me tell you what I loved about your speech. You used beautiful language which created pictures which we could see and imagine. The way you described the look of your English teacher, her look would pierce into us. The way you described this made us think that we were standing beside you in that classroom when this incident was going on. You started off with great energy and enthusiasm. From the first sentence itself, you created a strong connection with the audience. You had a great sense of humor. You did not give the audience a single chance to get bored. And the best of all is that you chose a personal experience. Personal experience helped the speaker to create an emotional bond with the audience, and you managed to do it very well. As we all know, Toastmasters Club is a place to learn and a chance to grow. So here's me with sharing a couple of points which might help you. First of all, add more pauses so that the audience will be able to absorb your matter better. Secondly, increase your body language. When you were telling about your teacher kicking out of the class and calling your parents, you could show, would kick out of the class, call your parents, and write notes. You could add more body language. Thirdly, use the stage more. You were standing in one position. You move there, move here, and then talk something here, and then come back here, and you use the stage more. Fourthly and finally, keep your body open. You had gestures like this. This shows that you were a bit nervous. So try to keep your body always open so that will show more confidence. Now, let me conclude my evaluation. You have good language, good humor, and I love the fact that you use your personal experience for the speech. And I recommend you to add more pauses, more gestures, good body language, and always keep your body open. Keep your enthusiasm, confidence, and energy for all your speeches, and may you reach greater heights. Thank you.
Really impressed me. Coming to the first criteria that I want to evaluate on will be your voice. Your voice was very clear, loud, and all words were distinctively heard. I believe the audience too were able to hear your voice very clearly. You had a very good vocal variety, and I believe it added to your expression when you expressed your discontent or your satisfaction or your anger. You displayed it well by showing your hand gestures. Your intonation was really good, and you were able to express your feelings to your audience. However, a few pauses and pacing at the right moment would have really helped your speech, because I believe that if you pace and pause at the right time when you've made a joke or something that the audience finds interesting, it really adds to the quality of your speech, and that is something I believe you can easily work towards. Coming to your expression, you maintain eye contact for large parts of the speech by looking at all sections individually, and your hand gestures were really good, and as I previously said, in showing your expression. I believe your stage movement could have been improved, as when you were shifting from points, or you were saying that yes, we should start from the first period and moving all the way down to the last period, and also when portraying characters, personification of the characters could have been much better if you had done the movements, and I believe that your speech would have been much better, and you can work towards that. Coming to your content, the speech organization was really good. It followed a logical and chronological method right from the beginning of your day, the first period and your experience with that teacher, all the way down to the end, to your last period with a strong moral. One thing I did notice was that your speech was relating to your school, which was DPS, and believe me, as a fellow DPS side, I understood a lot of the jokes, as initially in the beginning, when you stated the school prayer, which has been repeated so many times, a lot of the DPS fellows that get it, but your speech, I believe, should have room so that other schools and other students are able to relate to it more, as I believe that the quality was not able to directly relate to them. The level of English was quite informal and casual, which maintained the humor of your speech. It was good and simple to understand. Overall, I'd say that your good content organization, your humorous speech, and your important message at the end of working hard really helped bring forward your message to the audience. And this same message of working hard, I believe you can do in improving and maintaining your movement, pace, and doing the right pauses at the right time to improve your speeches for the future.
Your own life experience, woven with humor, to reveal a very important message at the end, and that's to be successful, sometimes you have to struggle to succeed. And that's a really powerful message. Because you see, whenever I face difficult situations in my life or struggle through anything, I just want to give up. But now, if I face something like that, I will remember your speech. And I will always get motivated. You had a very relatable topic. Because majority of the audience will be students, and you chose a topic that's very relatable to us. It's that one day in the week that we hate the most because of annoying teachers or not favorite periods. That's a really relatable topic you chose. And on top of that, you had your own life story, which was really good. Because as a speaker, one of the things that we want to achieve is to reduce the gap between the audience and us. And what's the better way of doing that than including a story which is really relatable? You had humor woven in everywhere. And you even had voice modulation. For example, you sounded very pious to me when you said, I begin this auspicious day. I take time to pray and bow before the God. Or when you told about your maths teacher, she's really strict and controlling and making students do her jobs. Or when you told about one of your teachers, really piercing eyes. It feels as if she's piercing to your very own soul. You had that voice modulation, and you made me feel, and I felt in your position when you told us your story. But one thing as a speaker we come on the stage is to get a chance to grow. And one thing I felt is you could have improved your eye contact. You were very confident, but one thing is, I felt you were only looking towards the left side and towards the middle, not towards the contestants and towards the extreme right. Try looking, like what you can do is you can, beforehand, before the event begins, you can map out the places that you want to look, and so it will be easier for you. Then your body gestures. Like for example, I take some time, what you have done is I take some time to pray and bow, a bit more like that. You could have punctuated them, you had some really good punchlines. Or for example, really piercing eyes, they peer into your very own soul, a bit more. And because your body speaks your own language, so develop that. To summarize, you had a very relatable topic, you had voice modulation, you had humor woven, but your eye contact could have been more and body gestures. Work on that, and when you come on the stage, you'll captivate to conquer us.